Manuel Tao, good morning. How are you, faithful? Captain Niner here with your Captain and Coffee Morning Report for January 15, 2025. First thing of note, no, not a whole lot going on today. The 49ers did interview Chris Tabor, in relation to Tabor Peppers, for their special teams coordinator. He is a longtime special teams coordinator, really good special teams coordinator. Was last the special teams coordinator for the Panthers and their interim head coach back in 2023. So he's another candidate that has been brought forward for that special teams coordinator. Kyle also said yesterday that Sorensen will get a chance to run or to interview for the special teams coordinator, which he did have that job for one season in 2021 with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So it is a role that he is semi-familiar with and has done before, although I just don't see him getting that role, or do we even want him still around? I know the players like him or anything, but it's just like, I feel like there's an air of failure with him, and I know that sounds terrible because I don't know the guy. He might be a really nice guy, but I feel like it needs fresh, we need something fresh in the building, not the same old, same old. Speaking of something fresh and same old, it seems like there is reports coming out of Jacksonville that Robert Saleh is leaning towards possibly taking that job, or at least being offered to him. We'll probably see if that's going to probably not come out till about Friday or so, is my assumption. So we'll see. Again, as much as I love Saleh and I love the energy and everything that he brings to this organization in general, I still don't necessarily think that he's the best fit. Simply because if he's good enough and he puts us right back on top, he's gone next year. So again, it's nothing against Saleh. It's just, do we want to be in the same situation again next year? And you could almost possibly even say that with maybe like a Jeff Ulbrich. If he brings this defense back, he was obviously running a good defense with the Jets. Obviously not that good of a head coaching job, but the Jets were just a shit fire because of the offensively and everything going on with Aaron Rodgers. So I wouldn't necessarily put that all on him and the defense. But as a head coach, as the interim head coach of the Jets this year, wasn't all that impressive. But you never know. Again, that could just be the Jets. The Jets are dysfunctional at best, and like I said, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But we'll see. But again, I could see, if he comes in and makes his defense back to what we think it was, that he's instantly a head coaching candidate. Probably not someone as high as like Saleh or some of the other guys, but definitely someone who could be getting some of those calls going forward. Like I said, I'm kind of leaning towards Dennis Allen. I think Dennis Allen is falling into that category of Spagnuolo, Ray Rhodes, Wade Phillips, all these guys who just weren't good head coaches, but were good coordinators, really, really good coordinators. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with being, the lieutenant on a team. Everybody needs a good lieutenant. So he's less likely to take a head coaching job instantly because, his name's probably a little bit lower on the list of some of these guys. Plus, he's a little bit older, and a lot of these guys, they're going to be wanting young, new up-and-coming coaches. Speaking of those coaches, right now we have the openings are the Bears, the Cowboys, the Raiders, the Jets, the Saints, and the aforementioned the Jaguars. So obviously Saleh has had his interview with the Jags. He still has his interview with the Raiders, which I believe is going to be late this week or early next week. Honestly, if he takes a job, it's going to be the Jags. I don't know why he would want that. He saw what happened with Champ Balky, and coming in right after the whole Harbaugh and everything era. Obviously, a few years after that, but you saw what happened after all that. Do you really want Champ Balky to be your GM, or would he be a GM and his name only, kind of like with Lynch? And it's actually Kyle, a.k.a. Saleh, calling all the plays. So we'll see how that works out. Obviously, I think McCarthy, because he's probably the big name out there right now, I think McCarthy ends up with the Bears. I don't know why. There's just something with McCarthy and having a young quarterback like Caleb Williams, something that where he could be, develop him and stuff like that. I don't see. And then maybe with the Raiders, Brian Flores. I love the idea of Brian Flores being, with the Raiders. I think Ben Johnson goes to the Lions. I think, with their picks and everything, we'll see. Like I said, these are just guesses. I have no idea where these guys are going. But we do want to spend some talk about how much money Brock has made himself compared to some of the playoff quarterbacks who were in the playoffs who lost over the weekend. So obviously the big story this weekend or this offseason will be how much do we pay Brock. I've said it's probably going to be minimum $55 million because you look at some of the guys that just got bounced out of the playoffs. You had Baker Mayfield, who's making 33 a year, Jordan Love making 55 a year, and like Justin Herbert making 52 and a half a year. If you look at his, too early in the morning for this faithful. If you look at Brock's career, just compared to someone like a Herbert, Herbert's career has been nothing compared to Purdy's. Purdy's been in 2 NFC Championship game. Again, he's been an MVP candidate up until a few weeks into last year's season. It's been to a Super Bowl. What has Justin Herbert done? He's floundered. He has floundered at times during the regular season. He's floundered in his postseason stuff. Same thing with Jordan Love. Him and Jordan Love are going to always be connected at the hip. That's just the way those two guys are going. Again, Jordan Love had a terrible playoffs. He had 3 good quarters of playoffs against us last year, and then just fell apart. And he's making $55 million a year. Baker Mayfield bounced out of the first round again. Now, I actually personally like Baker Mayfield. Like I said, that's one of my personal favorite guys. I like the cockiness and arrogance and everything that he brings. His gutso and all that kind of stuff. Making 33 a year. I would love to see Brock on a Baker Mayfield type of contract. It's not going to happen. If his agent was to get him that kind of a contract, he would never get another NFL client in his life. It's just not going to work that way. You look at some of the other guys who Brock is better than. You got Trevor Lawrence, 55 mil. Again, someone not in the playoffs. And yes, I realize that we are not in the playoffs either. But you look at his career-wise, Lawrence, another flounderer, hasn't done jack in the playoffs. The only one and then you have Dak, obviously. Dak with 60. Dak not good in the playoffs. Again, another terrible guy that falls apart. The 2 guys that I'm going to list have had some success. Obviously, there's Tua. Tua, he's been dynamic at times, but he's got the history of the injuries with the stuff like his head injuries. Also, not great in the playoffs. He's making $53 million a year. And then the one who, Joe Burrows, making $55 million. Now, he has been to a Super Bowl. Granted, he lost, but he has been to a Super Bowl. So these are some of the numbers for quarterbacks who are in the league who gets compared to Brock and some of the things that they've done. Brock is going to make probably 55 to 60 mil. Look, we have to accept it. That's going to be what it is. We can bitch and moan, but that's just how it's going to be. That's the way quarterbacks are paid. And guess what? In 2 or 3 years, it's not going to look that bad. Remember what happened when Jimmy signed? Jimmy signed at the time. He was the highest paid quarterback. And within a year, that contract was one of the most team-friendly things ever. It's probably going to be something along those same exact long lines that we signed Brock to. Sorry about all the stuttering and everything. This was a long night. I'm still sleepy. Haven't had enough coffee. I need more coffee this morning. As far as Niner Faithful Radio goes, we got nothing coming up the next few days. I might be jumping on tomorrow with Anshul, a.k.a. 49er Media. We have our 49er Media Captain Show on Thursday. Not sure if we're still doing that this week or not. And then if nothing else, Friday, 6 p.m., we will be doing the Niner Faithful Radio Weekend Review Show. We just go over everything that we've got going on this week with 49ers. And I think we're going to go start looking into what me and TJ's, our top 5 needs are for going into the offseason. All right, Faithful, have a good day. Have a good day at work. Or if you're not working like me, find a job. I got to find a job. All right, Fafa Talava. One love, Faithful.